How about that cigar? And welcome back to our live coverage at Cigars and Baseball 2021. We are here at CHS Field again in St. Paul, Minnesota, live, and we're here with Lindsay from Third Street Brewhouse. Thank you so much for being on How About That Cigar with us.
Thank you. This is a phenomenal event. I've been invited to do this since I've worked for Third Street, and we always had other people cover it instead of me because I've always had other things. So this is really fun to be here, and it's just a great event. Event.
We were saying the same thing, that it's, always hearing about the event and never coming to it. And we said we're never going to miss this event again because it's just a great group of people here.
It is. It's awesome. And I've met people from Iowa and all over Minnesota. So it's been a great event. Yes.
So one of the things that we talk about, that we've actually done a number of segments on our show, we do a regular Monday night show, and there's a lot of cigar smokers who love to pair their cigars with different beverages. Sometimes it could be coffees, it could be teas, wines, beers, whiskeys, root beers. And so that's why we wanted to also, in addition to the cigar companies, we wanted to talk to some of the breweries from the area.
Absolutely.
Just because, first of all, we want people to always support local, and having Minnesota companies here, we want to support that and get the word out about your brand, but also just talk about how, you guys as a brewery have progressed over the years. Talk a little bit about a couple of the most popular brews that you have available to people.
Sure.
And stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say that a majority of our beer actually pairs with cigars quite well, and a lot of different foods for that matter. So just a little bit about our history. Third Street Brewhouse is the craft beer brand of Cold Spring Brewing. Cold Spring Brewing's been around since the 19th century. We've been brewing beer on that site since 1874. So we are technically the second oldest brewery in Minnesota. And it's a fun brewery to work for and to be a part of. And so we're just southwest St. Cloud and Cold Spring and in central Minnesota there. And we just pride ourselves in making like really easy drinking, approachable beer.
Yeah.
That you want to go back in the fridge and grab another one, and you've got the Minnesota Gold Lager there, and so that's our most popular one, and I'm wearing the shirt too, so
good looking shirt.
So it's our most popular beer and kind of our workhorse, but we have a light version of that too, so I really like it. And then during the pandemic, of course, wouldn't you release a new beer during a pandemic? Like, that would be great.
Just like releasing a new cigar during a pandemic.
There's Jody. She's the sales manager.
There we
go.
In
the background.
Oh, she's getting cake. She's no dummy. She's getting cake.
They got the good stuff on now.
So we have a Minnesota Gold Micro, which is 1.4 grams of carbs and 88 calories. It's 4.2 ABV.
Wow.
So it's the lowest calorie, lowest carb beer on the market right now. It's lower than the big national low calorie, low carb beer.
You're going to break my camera.
Anyways.
That face in there.
So, anyways, but so we have distribution throughout Minnesota, and it's just you're pairing a Minnesota Gold with your cigar right now. I've got our Oktoberfest. It's not in the labeled can, and it's an interesting time in the brewing industry because there's shortages and everything, and so we got hit with a can shortage. So we actually had to put a shrink wrap sleeve on our cans that are in the market.
Which you had not done before.
We typically don't. We've done it with some of our smaller runs of beer. We typically don't, and normally those cans come in printed, and we just run them. So but the Oktoberfest is delicious, and it's one of my favorite beers that we make.
And we're coming up on that season.
It is.
I mean, we're
October.
there.
We are there.
Yeah.
I mean, traditional German Oktoberfest is the last 2 weeks of September.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. You said that you let bring out a beer in mid-COVID.
Yeah.
Did that sell really good? Because everybody was home drinking and smoking.
Right. The problem is that nobody knew about the beer. So that beer got released, we couldn't sample it. And one of our best ways to let people know about it is a sample. Now we've seen in certain markets, it took off, like in certain markets, because people are like, I want something, but like, I don't want the COVID weight, right?
Yep.
And so yeah. have a light beer and smoke a cigar and be happy, you know, and so yeah.
So one of the things that we see in the cigar business and as cigar consumers, because we're always consumers first,
Right.
is when there's a brand event at a cigar shop, you know, one of the local sales reps will come in, set up a table, bring a lot of the cigars for sale. They'll have deals, special pricing, they'll have swag, that kind of thing.
Right.
Do we see the same kind of thing from the brewing industry?
Right, sure. It depends on the individual brewery and what they want to do. But, you know, we do beer dinners. We've got one coming up next week, and where we'll pair our beer with food. You know, we're handing out like can koozies here today and stuff, you know, and so I think just educating people about your brand.
Yeah.
And about beer or cigars or whatever you're educating about, you know, is just in general, is a big part of my job. And I think, you know, you guys can relate to, you know, like I am not a cigar expert. I love a good cigar, and I know some, but I'm not a aficionado like you guys are. But then when it comes to beer, like I can talk about beer till the cows come home.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's great that you mentioned education, because that's something we're passionate about here. We do a lot of that, and just getting the word out about teaching people what goes into the products, and teaching people that, you know, small breweries like yours and even large cigar companies, these are products that are it's a painstaking process to get the raw materials, get the ingredients to make the products.
Yes.
To get the ingredients to the right process where they're usable and where they're at that peak flavor,
right?
And things, and beer is really similar in that way.
Well, and thank God we have a wonderful brewmaster is like right
over there. He didn't want to come. I tried asking him first. What's his name?
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
So
Raul's gonna force Mike on camera.
Mike has that knowledge. He's worked in our brewery for a long time. He has this like great knowledge of beer and like flavors. So just like a cigar. He's camera shy. Just like a cigar, beers have those. There he is.
We just wanted to show the brewmaster on camera. That's all.
You made the podcast, so. But I mean, one of the things that he can do is he even has talked to some of the other breweries here today and talked to them about, you know, what they're doing and it's just a collaboration, really, you know, especially Minnesota breweries we're good friends. And we're at a lot of these events together. We see each other. We're like, oh, where's so-and-so? Or we're, you know, and that kind of thing. And so I think that's kind of the same.
It's a lot like the cigar community. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Raul's totally right that you'll hear from cigar companies that they're all friends and they talk to each other, and sometimes even, let's say, because there are so many different types of tobacco that go into, and there's so many different types of grain that go in, and you'll have a brewery that's like, I cannot get this particular kind of grain. Sometimes you'll see a brewery say, you know what, we've got a couple extra 1,000 pounds. We're going to give you that grain for now, and then later on, you scratch my back, that kind of thing.
So one of our local breweries just north of us in St. Joseph, Minnesota, Bad Habit Brewing is borrowing kegs from us for an event. We've got
help each other.
You help each other out, and you know, you're competitors, but you're friendly competitors too,
right?
In that sense. So,
do you guys ever, like cigar companies, they'll collaborate on a certain cigar that comes out? Do you guys ever do that in the brewery company?
Now we haven't like Third Street has not. It's been discussed with some breweries and kind of behind the scenes, but many Minnesota breweries are doing just that, where they'll come out with a collaboration brew.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of fun, and you know, like, oh, we partnered, or a brewmaster from another brewery works, and so like I know, like one of our former brewmasters, he worked with a small brewery, and it was an Irish-based brewery, and they Hayes Public House in Buffalo, and they made a German beer, and so our former brewer had the kind of the German brewing roots, and so they work together. And
Nice.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, are the beers only available in Minnesota, or are they available outside of the state?
So we're available in Minnesota right now.
Okay.
And North Dakota. So
Okay.
we're in like Fargo, and then if you just take 94, in the bigger cities out in North Dakota.
Yeah.
We're working on Wisconsin, so we'll be in Wisconsin soon.
Okay.
I don't know the exact timeline of that.
Yeah.
And there's been discussions with South Dakota as well. So
Awesome.
We'll be, and Minnesota Gold. Well, will that sell in Wisconsin or South Dakota or wherever?
Right.
They like to drink in Wisconsin. They'll drink
They'll
anything.
drink it.
They'll drink it.
Like old Milwaukee sold in Minnesota for many years.
That's right. That's right.
So Milwaukee's best. So I mean, there's all kinds of if that's I think if you try it, and that's the idea too behind sampling. If you try it, like so many people here are like, I've never had this before. Like this is a good beer.
Absolutely.
Where can I buy it? And so that's our job.
So where for our viewers and the people, there are people watching this live, and then there's also going to be people watching it after the fact.
Sure.
If they want to learn more about Third Street, where do they go on social media and that kind of thing?
ThirdStreetBrewhouse.com
Okay.
Is our website. We're on all the social media outlets, obviously. Facebook has been very popular. I just think Facebook is the social media thing that garners the most interest. So
right.
You might even see my mug on there every once in a while. So, I don't know how I ended up being like the spokesperson for Third Street or not, but I taught high school for 27 years, so speaking in front of people is not a big deal.
That's why you drink beer, because you taught high school for 27 years.
I always told my students, I said, I'm only teaching until I figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah.
And this opportunity kind of came around on the backside, and I started thinking about it, and I met my boss at a beer event, actually.
There you go.
And so a year later, I was working for Third Street, and
nice.
It's worked out well, and I enjoy my job. And my wife just shakes her head, and she's like, I said, well, it's not a job when you
love it.
It's fun. It's just not.
Fun.
I mean, it's kind of the same with firefighting.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they say, what is that old classic phrase, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
And that's 100% true.
Yeah. It's not like I'm getting super rich doing this job, but it's super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us, telling our listeners and viewers about, Third Street.
Awesome.
And we look forward to great success for you and your brands. And
thank you. Thanks for having me on.
One more thing. I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
2023 and NA beer coming out, right?
NA beer. It's like I said, it's been discussed, and it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
So I can't make promises because I don't get to make that decision
right.
in the end, but I get some input in it. So I will work on that for sure for you, Raul.
I'll talk to your brewmaster after this.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. So viewers, guys, thanks again for watching. We have more cool stuff coming up live from Cigars and Baseball, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.
Cheers.